Is it working? Hi, Girls Who Brunch Tour. My name is Katia Gerry. I am Teen Miss California Earth 2020. I'm so excited to be speaking with you guys today. I have a lot of fun stuff planned. So before we get started, I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I am from California and I own two nonprofit organizations. One is Stay Gorgeous Girls, and it's all about building confidence and self-esteem in young women. Made a little mistake. My second organization is Project Breathe, and it's actually a platform of mine teaching about air quality and how we can educate ourselves, how we can keep the air in our home and the air surrounding us clean. Something really interesting about California is that 39 million people live here, and that is a lot of people. We have beautiful mountainous terrains. Whenever tourists come, they always comment, they're like, oh my gosh, these mountains are so crazy. But the downside about that is that the mountains actually trap in a lot of air pollution. On the bright side, we have beautiful, warm, sunny weather, best place to vacation in the whole world. But because the weather is so warm, we collect 3 oxygen molecules, and that's called ozone. And the ozone actually creates smog, as Californians call it smog, and it's not good for you to breathe in. We actually are, out of the top 10 list, we're the 7th city with the worst pollution, which isn't a lot of fun, which is why I created Project Breathe to help stop the increase of pollution and providing you guys educational materials on how to keep your home, the air in your home clean, and how to keep the air around you clean and beautiful. Before we get started, I have a story to share with you guys. And this story is about a kid named Alex. And Alex, he was a superstar athlete. I mean, Alex was the fastest person in his class. He ran track and field, and he was amazing. When Alex was younger, he had something called bronchitis. And bronchitis is a disease that you get from breathing in bad air, breathing in something that's not good for you. But Alex persevered through that. He kept running track until one day he started getting sick. He kept running and he'd feel sick, shortness of breath. So Alex's mother took him to the doctor. And the doctor ran all his tests. He did everything. He was running. He was like, okay, Alex, I'm getting all the information ready. And Alex's doctor told him, Alex, you actually have asthma. You cannot run track and field anymore because it's not good for your health. But Alex, he was a strong person. He was the fastest person on his track team. So he said, you know what? I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to focus on something else. And that was joining our armed forces. Alex wanted to become a soldier and protect our country. And Alex's mom and everyone in his family was so excited. They went down to the office to say, hey, sign me up for the military. I want to join. And they were so excited. They're like, yes, Alex, you seem really athletic. But before we do that, we're going to have to give you a physical examination. So Alex took the physical examination. He was really excited, ready to get in to protect our country. And they told him he couldn't join because of his past illness, asthma. So the reason why we have Project Breathe and the reason why I created it is so that we can help people like Alex. And we don't have to tell kids like Alex that their dreams can't come true because of their illnesses. So here's some of the things we're going to be learning today. We're going to be learning what is air, what is air pollution, and how does it pollute the air? What happens when we add air pollution to the air? And what happens to our lungs when we get air pollution inside them? And what actions we can take to help reduce air pollution. Now that we have all that out of the way, I am no longer Teen Miss California Earth 2020. I am an environmental scientist. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys, and since I'm teaching you as your environmental scientist, that means you, my students watching, are junior environmental scientist. So scientists, take out your pen and paper, get ready, because we have a lot of experiments, a lot of things to discuss and go over. So let's get started. Take a look around you. All that empty space is filled with something. And that brings me to my first point, scientists. Air. Air is made up of 21% oxygen and 78% of other gases like argon, carbon dioxide, or methane. So you can see here, this is our argon, carbon dioxide, methane, other gases, and this is oxygen. That is the stuff that we breathe and we need to survive. But I showed you this water bottle, and you're probably thinking to me, you're thinking, Katia, there is water inside of this. There is no air inside of it. So scientists, we have to prove that air actually exists. This is groundbreaking stuff, groundbreaking discoveries that we're doing right now. But how do we find out if air exists? Well, that's why I am your environmental scientist. We are going to be conducting an experiment. Now, this glass, if air exists, would be full of air. How do we prove that? Well, I'm going to take a completely dry paper towel. It's really dry. We'll test it out. It's dry. We're going to put it inside of this glass. And I'm taking out a bowl of water. Now, if air actually does exist, it will stop the paper towel from getting wet because the air is taking up space inside of the glass. Air is invisible, so we can't see it. So we have to prove that air takes up space in order for it to exist. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you, my scientists, can see. I'm going to take this. I'm kind of nervous. What if it doesn't work? We might destroy the universe. Okay, let's go. We're going to hold it down like this. Going to wait a couple seconds. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Our paper towel is completely dry. No water got inside the glass. There's water all around the outside of the glass. So we just proved that air does take up space because our paper towel didn't get wet. But why is that important? Why do we need to know that air takes up space? Well, this brings us to our second point, pollution. We proved that air does take up space, but now we need to figure out what is inside of our air. Remember, I talked to you guys that air is 21% oxygen, 78% other gases. We are going to define some of the other gases that are inside of our air. Some of the things that, and that is pollution. I'm sorry, scientists. Pollution is something that is added to our air that makes it smelly, dirty, or unclean, and it's sometimes is unsafe for us to breathe. So some of the stuff that can be pollution is trash. I have a bag full of trash here. I'm not going to open it because it does smell really bad. That's why it's sealed away. If you can smell something, that is pollution. Now, another form of pollution. This is very dangerous, scientists. Don't try this at home. Is smoke. I don't know if you guys can see that smoke, but you know if you blow out a candle, if you turn out your campfire, smoke happens. That smells like smoke in here. That is another form of pollution. Smoke inside of the air. And our last form of some of the pollutions that we have is noise. Noise is actually another form of pollution. Much better. And the reason why noise is a form of pollution is because if something gets too loud, then it hurts our ears. And technically, scientifically, that is pollution. Pollution can also affect air, water, and soil. But today, we are going to be focusing on air. Air pollution happens, again, going over the definition, when the air gets dirty and it becomes unsafe for us to breathe. The different types of air pollution that we have come from cars. We have right here industrial chemicals and noise, which we went over, and smoke and wildfires. I had a picture of a volcano because it's super cool, and you can see that smoke. So the smoke, burning like coal, fossil fuels, gas from the car, turning on campfire, all those things is smoke pollution. And we actually call those PM pollutions. PM stands for particle matter. So the reason why we call it particle matter pollution, because as you can see, it's very visible. You can see that smoke, it lingers in the air, gets in our ozone layer, creates a not good cocktail of pollution. And the next thing we have are our VOC pollutions. Those are the volatile organic compounds. And those sometimes are, all the time, they're invisible because they're molecules. They're 30 times smaller than a grain of sand. So that comes from cars, the tailpipe emissions from your car, the exhaust, and it also comes from factories and different things like that, like a power plant or maybe a flip-flop factory that's burning chemicals. So those create VOCs, and the PMs are the ones that you can see. Now, the reason why those aren't good for you is because it can cause a whole array of illnesses like coughing, asthma, which is what Alex had, burning eyes, bronchitis, swollen lungs, and more health things. I don't want to scare you guys, but it's just not good for you. So now that we have discussed and went over different types of air pollution, scientists, it's time for you guys to take a little bit of a quiz. Get your pen and paper out, and I'm going to show you 4 pictures, and you guys are going to write down the numbers 1 through 4, and you'll write C for clean and D for dirty. And if you are super junior scientists, you will be able to remember that PM is for particle matter pollution, so you can decide if it's a PM pollution or a VOC, which is an invisible pollutant. So let's get started. I have my first card for you. You guys can take a look and see that. Remember, C for clean air and D for dirty air. Okay, we have picture number 2. C for clean air and D for dirty air. And then we have picture number 3. C for clean air and D for dirty air again. And then number 4. Let's make sure. Okay. C for clean air and D for dirty air. All right, let's grade our quizzes. So number 1, we have this man having super fun riding a dirt bike of some form. He is kicking up a whole bunch of dust, and that is a PM pollutant because all those dust particles get in the air, and when you breathe them in, it is not good for you. So that is dirty air. And then we have number 2, factory emissions. That is actually dirty air. Now you can see the clouds right now, but when they actually get up into the air, they turn invisible. So it is a VOC pollutant. Oops, wrong one. Then we have number 3, that smoke from the fire. That is actually a pollutant. It is PM, so D for dirty. And then we have number 4, which is the cars on the highway. And I hope students and scientists watching that you guys put D for dirty, even though you can't see it. Like I said, those VOCs are 30 times smaller than a grain of sand, so you can't really see them. So it still is a pollutant. Not very good for you to breathe in. Well, it's not good for you to breathe in. Now, I'm going to show you guys what happens to our air on a molecular level. So let's pretend the water inside this glass is our air, and this right here is our microscope, and we're zooming in. So remember our first picture, we had all that dust going on. We're gonna add some cinnamon to represent our dust into our air. Add a little bit of that cinnamon. Let's stir it around. You can already see that the air is getting these weird particles on the inside of them. Doesn't look that dirty yet, but wait, because we're going to add some pepper into this water air to demonstrate our factory emissions. We're gonna go ahead and stir our air around. And you can see, yes, it is not looking good. We're gonna add some crushed red pepper for our smoke and our smog. A little spicy, careful with your eyes. Mix that around and we can see this air is looking disgusting. But we're not done. We're gonna add the biggest VOC pollutant, which is tailpipe emissions from our cars on our highways, and we're gonna be using vanilla extract to really show you what happens to our air. We're gonna mix that around, and that is polluted air. This is clean air, and this is polluted air. Now, you can smell it. I'm gonna smell it for you for the reason of science, because remember I told you if it's polluted, you could smell it, you can, oh gosh, oh, that's bad. Not smelling that again. It's polluted. I can guarantee you that. You're probably thinking, Dr. Katia, why do I need to know that all the air is polluted? Why is it bad for me? Well, I'm about to tell you right now, junior scientists. You know our lungs, they're located in the middle of our midsection. And you know how they function. They take in air or they expand. They expand with air and they suck in air. So you could be thinking, the reason why the lungs do that is because the lungs are in search of something. The lung has a very special relationship with oxygen. Remember, 21% of oxygen is in the air, and the lungs are just so in love with this oxygen. They search for it day and night, all the time. That's why you're constantly breathing. But the reason why oxygen is so important to us is because oxygen powers our whole entire body. Have you ever ran a marathon and held your breath? It's impossible, because what oxygen does is it goes to the cell and it's like, hey man, what's up? I'm gonna give you some food, wake up, let's go, let's run. And it gives your body energy so that you guys can play outside, maybe go to dance class, even go to sleep. Your body still needs oxygen and energy so it can function. So the lung needs oxygen and it breathes in through the air and it takes in all the stuff surrounding it. But when you're breathing in polluted air, this is our lung. For all of you students watching, this is our lung. And this is the air that's going inside of it. That is nasty. But you could be thinking, Katia, what about the oxygen? Here's about as much oxygen that you're getting from each one. So it's about 21%, 78% other things. So your lung now has to filter through all of that stuff to find the oxygen. And you could be thinking, okay, that's fine. It's just working a little bit harder. I'll take in bigger breaths. But no, those tiny pollutant molecules, they attach onto that oxygen and when the oxygen goes to meet the cell, the little pollutant comes with it. So instead of a nice friendly exchange from the oxygen and the cell, the pollutant is now like, hey man, bop, bop, bop. He beats up that cell and he's like, you're getting no oxygen. I'm here now. And that's how your body gets sick, because your blood cells are being beaten up and pummeled by those pollutants. So that's why it's so important that you breathe clean air, because when your body has low cells, it can't fight off diseases. And sometimes the pollutants create their own diseases. Remember, like bronchitis, asthma, and all those things like that. So it's important that we have clean air inside of our body. And something crazy about oxygen, another science fact, is that you can only survive 10 to 15 minutes holding your breath. Food, you can go a couple days, water, a couple days, but air, you cannot live without. It is the most important thing that your body needs, that oxygen inside the air. So, scientists, I know I've scared you just a teeny tiny bit, and you're probably sitting in your laboratories thinking, oh my gosh, Dr. Katia, she scared me so much. How are we going to fix this pollution problem? What am I going to do? I love to go outside. I love to go play. Well, I wouldn't be the amazing Dr. Katia, environmental scientist, if I did not give you guys solutions on how we can reduce our air pollution. So we're going to start with the air pollution in your home. You can get a couple different things to help reduce the air pollution in your home. Something that we have is my fabulous assistant doctor. This is Dr. Assistant Plant. His name is Judas. I employ him. I pay him food, water, and sunlight. And what he does is just like in our bodies and our lungs, how we suck up that oxygen and we absorb it. This guy sucks up the 78% other gases. So we're breathing for this, and this plant is breathing for the pink. That's why it's pink, pink and pink. It's cute. So he takes in all those other gases, he filters it out, and he projects out oxygen so that when we come back inside from playing and we're playing in a lot of pollution, we're breathing in supercharged air because our assistant doctor employee plant man has cleaned that air for us so that we can breathe happy and safe. Maybe you and your parents do not have a green thumb, and that's why I have 2 of these, because it's not my first plant employee that I had. The other one got fired. So I have an electronic plant employee. This is an air purifier, and they do not get fired like the plants do, but you plug it into your wall and it sucks in the air through here, it cleans it, and it produces out supercharged air that's clean and free of all those pollutants that we don't want inside of our body. And those are just two of the many ways that you can clean the air in your home and make sure that you guys are breathing happy, healthy air so that we can keep our bodies healthy. Now, even though we're taking care of ourselves, we need to be able to take care of the earth too and clean its air. Because one day we want to get to a point where we wake up in the morning and we don't have to worry about our employees that clean the air in our home for us. We want to be able to walk outside so that we can breathe clean and happy air. So some of the things you can do to stop air pollution is by turning off your lights. And you might be thinking, okay, Katia, what is that going to do? Hold on, scientists. Remember when I showed you this picture of the power plant and I briefly mentioned that, or the industrial chemicals, and I briefly mentioned that power plant is another industrial chemical that happens when it produces in the air. When you turn your lights on, those power plants start working and they start burning all those chemicals and it releases it into our air. So when you turn off your lights, you unplug your devices, you close your windows when the air conditioning's on, those are all ways we can save energy inside our home. And while we're saving energy, those power plants right here are not producing as many chemicals in our air because we're conserving energy. That is one of the easiest ways to help save our environment. The second way is to reduce air pollution in your school. And you might be thinking, okay, Katia, how do I do that? And I'm just in school, I'm not an adult, I can't drive. But what you can do is talk to your parents and your teachers. And if you take the bus to school, or maybe your mom drives you to school, or your parent drives you to school, you can either, one, you can organize a bike group for all the people that ride on the bus with you. And instead of taking the bus, you guys can all get together in a big group and ride your bikes to school. Or whoever's driving you to school can get a list of all the people that also take cars to school, and you guys can carpool. And what that does is it stops the tailpipe emissions. And remember how we told you that was a big VOC pollutant, the volatile organic compound pollutant? So the less cars we have on the road, the less tailpipe emissions are coming out and polluting our air. One of the things you can do is recycle. Sometimes when you throw things away in your recycling bin, it still goes to a plant that makes the plastic into something new, but we still are getting chemicals produced in the air that are causing air pollution. So let's say last Christmas you got some toys that you're tired of. Instead of throwing those away, talk to your teacher, your friends, your neighbors, and have a toy swap. Say, hi, I have this old Elsa doll and you have that Princess Tiana doll. I would like to swap with you. So those are some of the things you can do instead of recycling those, so they don't have to go to the plant. You can make your old things new again, beautiful and clean. So those are just some of the things that you can do to help take care of your air and your environment. So my purpose today was to inform you, my students, and your families about the importance of having clean air. Also to give you guys simple solutions in hopes that everyone can have a think global, act local attitude. And what that means is you taking a small step to help change something globally. So I had such a great time speaking with you guys today. But before I go, if you guys contact the Girls Who Brunch and you want a take-home booklet of how you can protect your air and the things that you can do, I've actually put together a little informational booklet. So contact your Girls Who Brunch advisor and we'll be able to send her those booklets so that you can have this super awesome presentation at home. That scientist girl was crazy, wasn't she? I'm back. It's Katia Gerry, and I just wanted to say bye and thank you for listening. I hope all of you guys had a great time. And if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and give you guys a couple seconds before I jump off. You can comment them on the Facebook Live. Oh, wait. Maybe I'll tell you some of my hobbies. I like to cook. Yesterday I made a really good salad. If you follow me on Instagram at Miss California Teen, you can see the cucumber salad that I made. Okay, it looks like none of you guys have questions, but if you think of something, you can either follow my account on Facebook, which is Katia Gerry, or you can add me on Instagram, which is Teen Miss California Earth 2020. I had such a great time speaking with you guys. I hope that you learned and you'll think global and act local. Bye, guys.